Progress.
Good evening and welcome to another episode of the Power Half Hour Unstoppable Business Owner. And I am your host for this evening, Dorothy Odell. Just would love to introduce you to our sponsor today. Have you heard of the cutting edge system to optimize your metabolic health? Doterra's MetaPower just may be what you need. I personally have been using the metabolic oil blend for the past month, and it's helped me with my appetite suppression. So if you've had any questions about this oil or any other doTERRA oils, give a call to our Aroma Touch technician, Bonnie Herb, at 810-414-0929, or go to her website at www.beoilywithbonnie.com. All right, I'm excited here. We are bringing to the show after some technical difficulties. I don't know what it is. The show it's been technical difficulties after technical difficulties. Each guest that comes on each week, it's been something else.
Just like life in the military, very unexpected. We don't know what's going to happen, but we roll with it.
And that's live, right? When we say we go live, that's what we mean. And so, Vanessa, it's a pleasure to have you here. Vanessa is one of these amazing women that is not only a military spouse, but she is actively helping all forms of military, whether you're out transitioning. But I will let her share her story because you say it much better than I do. So Vanessa, welcome to the show.
Thank you. Thank you, Dorothy. Thanks for having me. So yeah, I am a military spouse empowerment guide. So I'm helping military spouses that are exiting the military right in that transition. And I was literally on another podcast before yours, and it was with a military spouse. She happened to be across the way in Canada, but I've spoken with several of these spouses. Canada, I've coached a lady in UK, and it's amazing. Internationally, people are like, well, you're kind of on, different, wearing different colors, different uniforms, but the pain points are the same. We're all feeling that sense of isolation when the guys leave. We're raising the kids alone. We have to wear the pants and strap up and be the leader sometimes. And then we come back and it's like, oh, okay, let me pull my feminine side back now. My husband's back home. And yeah, a lot of similarities that we had. So it's just fascinating to see. It doesn't matter where you are, a military spouse around the world, like similar situations are happening. So
I love that because I'm from Canada too. So awesome.
Oh, that's right. I don't know where I was talking. That's 2 time zones too. So that was confusing.
Well, that's possible. Yeah. If she's out west or out east, then yeah, she would be in a different time zone than me. So for sure.
Yeah. So that's what I do. And I work with female military veterans as well that are exiting, and I do like one-on-one coaching, but I've also created a group space because I've noticed from my market research and people that have just helped me along the way, we miss that camaraderie. We miss, as much as we might have hated being on that base and that base sucked and we complain while we're there, and at the same time we miss it. Like we're kind of hooked on being able to just open your door and not feel like there's any theft maybe, and go check your neighbor for eggs and your husbands are gone, and just go cry together with the other neighbor, let the kids run around. Like this camaraderie feeling is missing. And then you throw in the pandemic, and now this other spouse was saying too, like still a lot of spouses are self-isolating. They're not getting out. I've coached with a woman for over a year. And when I first met her was one of the first times she actually left her apartment. She was just so frozen and stuck. There's a psychological technical name for that, which I don't know. Right. I'm certified through Mind Valley for life coaching and then positive intelligence. So that's my background. But yeah, so when I first met her, she seemed okay, but she told me that was like a huge struggle for her to get out. And it was like a 4th of July, I think was a summer holiday, like something that really forced her to get out. And then we connected, and I went through this transformational journey with her. It was amazing. I didn't even want to collect money. She was so broken, and I just wanted to help her. So every morning we would meet, and we went through all these affirmations and self-worth stuff, and went through this whole program. And a month or 2 later, she was like back in school, signing up for school. So she's back working on a medical degree. She wants to go back and work with Department of Defense and go to Germany, where she had a horrible experience when she was married in the military and things that fell apart. And she wants to go recreate that in Germany for herself with her own degree. She's got a job, she's working. So yeah, it's amazing when you connect like that. You're like, yeah, now I know why I'm doing this. But my husband is fully retired. We've been married 26 years and we've been retired for about 10 years now. So he's all about play and adventure. I am too, but then there was something missing, like he's been shot at, he's been, 5 deployments, he's been in a Humvee explosion. Like he doesn't need to go put on a suit for anybody. So he's more than happy to be on a paddleboard, fishing around. You might have seen some of our posts. You never know where you're zooming in with me from, but,
right.
But yeah, something was missing for me. I wanted to have an impact on military spouses and the life that I lived, an entire career, and just be there to help people hold their hand, be that mentor, so they don't have to maybe all as much, and they can have some tips along the way just to make it a smoother transition. And I want them all to thrive. I want military couples to stay married. The divorce rate is like with the military, and I'm working on a project with another woman who wrote a book called Your Treasured Marriage, Jeannie Gormick, and she's just has a dear heart for military and said, anything I can do to help. I said, well, you're going to do a workshop with me. We got to, bring this resource to our military community, to do anything we can to help these couples stay together, to work on communication, to work on making time for themselves. Because we already have enough distraction in the world, by itself, just with your phone and yourself. So if you're not taking that time and making that time to build that relationship with your spouse, I don't have my usual screen on with my van in the back, but we're in a 24-foot camper van half the time. So that'll get you closer to a spouse.
What doesn't kill you make you stronger, I always say. And that was for my uncle who was in the Canadian Armed Forces. And,
wow.
It's funny. He got out of that. Very long story short, he got out of the Armed Forces. Oh God, I don't know how long ago. And then he wanted to teach English in Taiwan because he didn't want to stay around here in Canada.
Taiwan, around the corner.
Well, right, exactly, right. Well, he was never stationed around home. He was always either out in Calgary or Kingston, or he was never local. So having him home was an absolute treat when he was home. But yeah, and he told me he was teaching English to one of his students, and she had a very rough upbringing, and a lot had happened to a child that should never have happened to a child. Let's put it that way. And she says, Brian, what doesn't kills you makes you stronger. And that has stuck with me for decades inside
I've
of my
heard
head.
that too. We've all heard it from somewhere. I don't know who the person was that first told us, but yeah, we kind of live by that every time we're in a pickle with the military and doing something like, well, we made it through. I think it made us a little stronger again. So.
It's funny because I've had tons of military, I've had tons of first responders on here, but you're my first spouse. So I just thought of that. I'm just like, wow, I get to, and every one of my veterans, they all say that the wives or the spouses that at home are the unsung heroes. And every single one of them that I've had on the show has said that. So just to let you know that they truly do love and appreciate you. They may not share it because they're struggling with their own shit, but they do really know that you guys are the unsung heroes back at home with the kids, doing double duty. And then when they're home, okay, now I have to bow down, and now you're the master.
Yeah, and I try not to use bow down and master words, but yeah, I have to tell a story. When we were in Texas, I mean, the last thing a mom of young kids is thinking when the husband's gone is how long the grass is cutting. But of course, if you're like in an HOA community where they walk around with a ruler and you get a little note like your grass is long, luckily they had leniency on me for that. But I just remember one day was the sweetest thing. And I'm a Christian, so wherever we go, I would connect with a church, and that was my home base. Like, if I was struggling or anything, I had MOPS, mothers of preschoolers. I had a support group, and that was huge with our booths. So if you're just out by yourself, like, oof, good luck. But I had the church to help me. And I just remember these guys the whole church community knew that my husband was away. And that church did so much. They actually sent care packages, like they asked for the husband's unit and everything. I went to the church. They had the whole place like an assembly mission with, packaging boxes and wrapping stations and the people who did the labels. And I'm just sitting there watching this whole flow chain of productivity. And then there were so many boxes, they had to go get a horse trailer to get it to the UPS or the U-Haul, wherever they were sending it from, because it wouldn't fit just in the backs of SUVs. So they pulled up a horse trailer. I mean, it is Texas. And off went our boxes there. They shipped scopes, they did fundraisers and shipped all kinds of stuff to my husband's like, who are these people? I'm like, it's just our little church in Texas. And we were working doing services out of like a mobile home while they were building their bigger church. So yeah, that kind of thing happened. Once a guy showed up with a truck and a lawnmower on the back, and I'm, running around chasing kids with diapers in the house, just trying to like hold it together. And he's like, excuse me, ma'am, I'm here to cut your grass. And he was from the church. Somebody knew, and this is how they showed up, like action, and that's what coaching is, action and results. We don't want lip service. We want action with stuff. So this guy showed up and I watched him zip, zip, zip back and forth, did the whole yard, got in his truck and left.
Wow.
Other people would text me and say, hey, we have food for you. We made you a casserole. So on my way back, if I was working and the kids were in daycare or something or at school, I would drive by and pick up casserole on the way home. And I learned to take the help, to receive. Some people I can do it all by myself, but I learned to receive. I was no problem. And then we actually had training. I don't know what base it was at. I think it might have all been in Texas. A lot went on in Texas. It was a reserve unit. We were supposed to be quietly in the back, no deployments, and it turned like all kinds of stuff going down. So I barely saw him in those 4 years. He was gone. But I remember we went through some kind of training, and they gave us tips. Your husband's coming home. Let the mail in the mailbox pile up. Do not open the mail. He's going to want to open up the envelopes and open them all himself. And I'm thinking, like, I've been doing this for 6 months myself. What do you mean? It's just the whole process of feeling needed again. Don't forget, let the grass grow long. Don't try to cut it and make the grass perfect. Give him something to do when he comes home. So best tips ever. I guess it was a more seasoned spouse that was guiding us, probably the family readiness officer, the FRO, what they called at the time. And yeah, those little things. That's just how it worked. And, for very independent women too. I mean, yeah, it could be like, I can do it, and I don't need any help. But there's this balance with, especially now in the coaching field, the feminine and the masculine energy. Maybe I need to do a whole workshop on that. I think you talked about that in one show before, and I talked about the feminine side, so that you come home and, show your feminine side a little more. I mean, I remember going to like a women's thing at church, and the lady rolled in with like negligees. That all got our attention. We're sitting there with our Bibles open, like, what's this? And the first
this will definitely impress your husband when he gets home.
And I mean, and this was just at the church, so it wasn't just for spouses that were military spouses, but just wives in general. But I'll never forget, that was a great talk that day. And she said, how many of you are wearing any of this around your house, like in the last month, 6 months? And we're all just kind of like, yeah, hair in the bun, baby spit up, shorts. Yeah, that's not coming out. So they reminded us the feminine side. So yeah, and then I went a little crazy, ended up in some shop, and oh my gosh. And of course it has some weird name, so it sounds like I'm at a strip bar or something. And then of course he sees the joint credit card. I mean, I just could keep going with the stories, and then where have you been shopping? And I'm thinking, like, I was just getting a nice outfit that they told me about at church to go get a nice outfit. But what is this? What is this teaser, this and that? What is this shop, But yeah, so you have to do things to keep a marriage, spiced up. We've been married 26 years. So, and, around here in Port Charlotte, Florida, our Ford operating base, I call it. I mean, that's nothing. We go out and I'm like, we've been married 26 years. And people around here are like, in their 70s, age dragging, like at the VFW, 26, we're 56, and I'm like, never mind. Maybe you should run my program for me. So yeah, we're kind of halfway there. There's a lot more seasoned couples in Port Charlotte area.
That is awesome. So if you're listening to this, you don't need to be a military spouse in order to buy the sexy stuff, because honestly, well, it's funny because I said, let's just say the guy before my husband, he's just like, well, you just, why would you even bother with that, right? And so I had asked my husband when I got together with him, I said, does that do anything for you? And he's just like, no, what's the point? So seriously, there's the occasional time, because you as a woman want to feel, like you said, sexy and things like that. And I was like, should I just go buy this, or never mind? I'll just stick to my t-shirt and my shorts. Yeah. Now, if you want to add in, the boat life or the van lifing, and then you're boondocking, that's a whole other level, because you're just out in nature with the wild. Things are flying by. You might see an eagle. We were with the bison in North
Dakota, I think, at the Roosevelt National Park, and wherever we are, if it's just us and it's like off grid, like wildlife management area, boondocking, it's just us, the van, the awning's out, the chairs are out, or, we're maybe in Montana fishing for brookie trout, and it's hot. It was a lot of hot weather when in our van, which, I like the heat, but yeah, my husband realized there's a whole lot of good parts of the heat, because what are you going to wear? And I'm cooking dinner, and things are just, you're just in a sarong, like, or less, but it's like, wow, this hot weather, we're just sweating away here in nature. We're becoming one with nature. But yeah, so I think at some point, that's why he like, we got to go camping again. I'm like, no, I think we got to stay at the house for a little bit.
That's funny. I'm just going to go to the comments for a minute. Your friend Diane, hey ladies.
Oh, hi Diana.
Sandy says Vanessa is a compassionate, intelligent professional. Thank you for joining us. And Diane says she was that woman. So there we go. And
Awesome.
Philip says, hey Vanessa. So welcome everybody joining us today. So yeah, I mean, I can just imagine the stories, because I know you said you've shared with me offline that your husband likes to fish and he'd just rather go fishing with his buddies, and you do your thing and he does his thing. But you're right, as couples, you still got to get in that groove, because I have heard like the divorce rate amongst veteran and military are definitely extremely high, 80-90%. I think it was the last time I checked it. So doing whatever you can to make that life work. Obviously when they come back, like you said, transitioning back, depending on who they are, what they've seen, they need their time, right? And they need to adjust to civilization or civilian life, I guess, not civilization, but civilian life. And you help those men and women with that as well. Also, another thing you had told us about, you do VA disability audits. Can you tell us a little bit more about that?
I'll tell you about that. And I just have to correct too. My husband and I are a very tight unit. He would much rather, I think, have me on the boat with him 24/7 fishing. So he goes fishing a lot on his own for solitude. Once in a while, like this past weekend, I had posted on LinkedIn, we took out a Vietnam veteran that we know who never gets out, never makes time for himself. But he's got his certain 2 or 3 buddies he might call or message on a Facebook or, hey, how's it going? And they're like spread out around the US. But other than that, it's just him and me. And, me doing my own business now. I mean, it is a new lifestyle. It's a new balance, because I was always just available for him at all times. What do you need now? Oh, let me start cooking. I'm baking bread, whatever you need. And now Vanessa's got her own little thing she's doing, and he can feel left out and like, I don't even need me more. So it's a constant balance of, making sure he feels appreciated. So when I'm not in the computer online or something, I mean, I try to be very affectionate with him. I'm constantly telling you, I love you, I love you, I love you, because I want him to know that he's still my number one, because they can feel a little, discarded if the wife just goes full on into her thing. This is my season now and my way, and we're out of the military. So yeah, it's finding that balance. But for us, what brought me to working with the VA audits was I went through that journey with my husband as well. He was an infantry grunt, not a paperwork guy. And so on those 3 last days where they gave you the TAP class, transition assistance program, it's like a fire hose of information. And, Lord knows what's already going through their head and all the trauma they're carrying from PTSD and everything. And then they got to check out and go fill out the medical waiver. And it's just a whirlwind. And so when he got out, he just was happy just to get out one day and just ended up paddleboard fishing, like everything was on the water. And then the wife comes in on, what's our paycheck now? What does it look like? What are the finances? What happened with that disability thing? Did you turn in paperwork for that? All way too late. So my tip for the wives is start 1 year out before you retire. And I didn't know, I learned this from a TAP specialist. We're allowed to go with the guys to some of their appointments, checkout appointments. Had I known that all the wives can show up with their husbands for the disability audit day, everybody would have been there with their pen and paper, like, okay, how does this work? So yeah, we did not take advantage at first. It took like a year for some of the pay to kick in. He bought himself just a little fishing boat with it, like $10,000 or something. Said, do you mind if I buy a fishing boat? I'm like, please, you've been paddleboarding in the California ocean water with sharks for like almost a year. Like, yes, get the boat. And I knew he would use it. It wouldn't just sit there. So so he did that. And then years later, I still kept saying, what's your rating? How does this rating thing work? And I don't think I don't think you're at the right rating, honey. You've been blown up. Like I haven't heard barely any of the stories. I mean, they keep that around the guy talk around the fire pit with a cigar. I don't even know half of it probably. And so, yeah, I just realized this was a struggle. You go onto the VA website and it's just like your eyes just cross, just trying to read the homepage.
Right.
And luckily by the, grace of God, serendipity, timing, we ended up in Germany visiting my mom. And she knew this guy that was in the Army. He actually, when he was 16 years old, worked at her company when she worked for a government contractor in Virginia. Now he's with the Army in Ramstein at the time. So we went and reconnected with him. And he looked right at my husband and said, "Did you get your claim stuff figured out?" And my husband's like, "No." And now I'm standing behind my husband, clapping and cheering, like, "Keep talking," because I couldn't talk about it anymore. Like,
right.
It was a trigger situation. My husband didn't want to talk about it. And somehow they have this notion that if you go back to the VA to ask for anything else, they're going to strip you of more benefits. Like that was his mentality, his scarcity mindset. Like, I don't want to do anything with them. I don't want to go back because they're going to take more away. And I'm like, that's not what I'm hearing. I'm hearing people are getting help and moving forward with this process. Right. So this guy, thank God we ran into him, and he would message us on WhatsApp back in the States. "Have you called? It's a free consultation. Have you called the number?" I'm like, "I'm trying. My husband has still not agreed." And then finally, like, I don't know what breaking point it was, but it was about a 5-year process that we lost all kinds of pay and stuff because of, stubbornness and not wanting to, reach out for help, all that stuff. And so, yeah, we called that number.
Can I just say that that's just not military? Because my husband does not do any of the financials. He does not look at stuff. If I like anything to do with looking at paperwork, that's on me. So it's just not military. So, and they are stubborn. Yeah, I come from a long line of stubborn. So,
so am I. I have to take credit. I can be stubborn too. So.
And I'm part German, Irish, and Scottish. So hey,
my mother's German,
fire freaking combination here, and married to an Irishman.
Yeah.
So isn't that a combination?
Yeah.
So I get it, but getting back to that, like, so if anybody knows of anything, because like you said, even with like disability pensions over here, like they're so afraid to go and ask for more because they're afraid to be stripped. So don't wait. See what you're entitled to. I absolutely love that.
Exactly. And my husband, I mean, he used all kinds of programs. He used the vocational rehab, went back, actually did like 2 years of accounting. So he is the money guy. He doesn't like to do like typing paperwork and anything feely touchy. No, but he likes to check our numbers and see what's going on. He's our little accountant. That's how we have 2 homes. That's how we rent out Airbnbs and how we've saved up. Like, he is really good with that. So that's a blessing. And I told him he should be training other young vets that are, or young guys even going in the Corps. You get your first check at boot camp and everybody runs out and gets that big monster truck and has a payment on it. We were like newly married and we had a baby, and he comes up with some little Geo Metro Volkswagen with a stick shift to the house. And I was like, "What is that? I don't do stick shift." He's like, "You do now." Like, I mean, that's, so we always bought used and we saved, and that's what got us to the level that we're at now. But yeah, so he did take care of all that. And I appreciate having him, that we can look at the numbers together. So we're not like walking in blind to things like that. That's all part of the preparation. It was just that the medical thing and all that paperwork that was a block. And so when we finally were able to call that number, and we barely went over like his case, his percentage breakdowns, the guy already like stopped me. The rep that was assigned was like, "You guys are way over even 100%. Like, we're going to move forward with this case. You guys have a case here." And I had to do a lot of extra filling online, paperwork, ask him stories, get some stuff. But I had a rep there to hold my hand through the process and check on me and text, "Did you get this done? Now I need this now. Let's move forward with that." And it was night and day from trying to do a claim on your own or trying to go to, some local shop down the road and have someone help you. So yeah, that's what I do now. So people can even text me. I have a VA disability audits I'm doing for like the next couple of weeks before we start to pack it up and head to Alaska for our next journey. We might be coming through. Yeah, I think we're coming through Canada. The borders were closed a year ago, but they're open now. So I don't know the route yet. We do a lot of fly by the seat of your pants, and my 84-year-old mom is joining. But I'm going to push through as many vets as I can. I've already got a pipeline going with people that are They've all passed me their disability paperwork. Like literally it's a screenshot of your 2 or 3 pages of what your combined service rating is. And I go with that. And I'm a rep now for a third-party contractor. We get them on the line. Usually it's phone call, but because I'm in this coaching space, I'm like, well, I do Zoom calls with my clients. I like the face and the visual. So we give, I give customer service, and we can look through it, and they'll be honestly, telling them like, you don't really have a case, or if there's open appeals, that's a hang up. If you have a lot of claims that are still in some kind of open appeal process, you have to wait till that rides out for us to step in again. Because if you close an open appeal and switch to a third party, there's like a 3 or 5 year gap. You have to wait till you can refile. It's some crazy stuff. I'm still getting trained on some things, but yeah, the free, they're complimentary, these disability audits, and people can just text me to, my work phone. And that number is 949-776-8731. You can just text VA audit and your first name just to get started. I know how hypervigilant we are and sensitive. We don't want to give full names, Mother's Day, birth child, all that, but just to get started, VA audit, your first name, and you can text that to 949-776-8731. And we will just put you through the process and start by, screenshots with the paperwork, the rep, and move from there and see if we can help you, because it's a game changer. Had we stayed at like a 60% disability, would have been very different than where we are now, where we can enter state parks for free in Florida, and parking. It's a whole different world. And it allows us to, live the lifestyle we have now. My husband's earned it. He deserves it. And I'm just proud that he finally told me, yes, I can make that call, because, we're a couple, because we do a lot of compromise and negotiation, and I needed his blessing. Right. It wouldn't have worked out right. It's like trying to coach somebody who's not coachable yet. So what would it have done if I would have called the number and he would have been, negative and anti-receptive and all that? But when he said that, yes, I was like, speed dial.
Exactly. No, and I love that. I love the fact that you guys have that, that you can be together, as much time as you want all the time. So sometimes I'm sure that's good. Sometimes I'm sure that's not. Yeah. I notice with my husband, like if we have like a 3 or 4 day streak on vacation, is like by the 5th day, I need a little bit of break. We both need a break.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, no, it's different. Like I've had to, this season of my life, I'm actually forcing myself to separate more for him, because I can be really attached to him, attached at the hip. And we came into the world alone, we're leaving alone, and I have to find my own identity, my own purpose. And it was a process. I can much easily just stay under his wing and, always just have him in the lead, have him there. But women kept asking me for like Christian women going on girls trips, and I would make every excuse every year. Like, I can't go. No, I'm busy. I just didn't want to leave my husband. I'm so attached to him. It's like this almost like, unhealthy balance of being attached. So, and I tell him like that there's a girl trip. He's like, you should go. His brother would come and they went alligator hunting. And now that I'm working, I'm like, yes, you guys should go alligator hunting, because I got some work to do. But it took a hot minute for me to accept finally. And I ended up going on this great girls trip. And we went to Noah's Ark and the Creation Museum. It was just wild. And we had so much fun, just the girls. And I think next month, I had another girlfriend in Florida who reached out and said, hey, we're going kayaking. We're going to San Marco Island. A few years ago, I'd have still been turning them all down. Like, no, I'm with my husband. So we're understanding the balance. I ended up at Who's Equine Therapy Horse Retreat in Ohio. They had an opening for military spouse once, and right after the Hurricane Ian. So we took care of all that, did our claim, and then got on the road when everybody came home to their tethered homes. We're like, our claim's in, we're done. There's no power. We're getting out. And my brother has my husband has 2 brothers in Ohio. And he kept saying, I want to go hunting with my brothers. And things just work out. I'm like, my phone's buzzing saying we had a cancellation at this military spouse retreat. And your brothers are there. Like, you're going hunting this year. And we did. We drove up and we separated. And then after 3-4 days, I have the itch to have him by me again. Can you believe it? You think I need more time? And I'm like, I miss my husband.
Well, and that's the way it should be, right? I mean, don't get me wrong. I the way you described that was exactly like when we first got together. We've been together for 6 years. The first 5 years, it's just like, no, like, and well, because I actually moved my entire life an hour and a half away.
Someone compromised.
Didn't know anybody in the city that he was in. Oh, I mean, I had family, but not family that I really went and seen. Um, Friends and that, like, it was, and my life revolved around him and his son, and it was just like, and of course never had a clue when he'd be home because of his job, and so here I am waiting, and so then it was like, okay, this isn't healthy and I need to
No,
find
the
a
waiting.
balance.
Yeah.
The waiting, and so finally when I said to him, I went to him, I'm like, okay, I got to do something different. When I lived in Chatham, I was volunteering, I was at the gym all the time. I didn't have to cater to anybody. Not that I had to cater to them, but anyways, that's a long story in that in itself. So I get what you're saying, because it could be very unhealthy to be that attached, but having, now that I'm doing this and other things, it's just like, now
Yeah.
now I'm just like, okay, see ya.
Yeah. Yeah. I used to be a lot more needy and attached. And now, and I try to go over our scheduling, because every day is like, what are you doing? I'm like, the same thing as you every morning. I'm going to get up. I'm going to do my LinkedIn post. I have some calls to do. Like, it's going to be different, but on the road, it's different. There's not reception all the time. We're talking story and we're singing music up front. It's just a very different vibe when we're living life on the road. Yeah, when he is home, there's that balance, but he's a great chef too. And, I get spoiled. Like, I text him like, did you catch fish for dinner? And he's just like, I'm working on it, and it's like a chore, but he loves it. But yeah, he will fillet the fish. And we ended up going on a base in San Diego for New Year's. And we had so much fun, and just in like at a hotel for once. We never do the hotel thing. And he caught fish, and there was a kitchenette, and we sashimi'd all the fish, and he had all the little wasabi and the ginger, and he brought the roller with the seaweed, and we made our own, sushi, and just stayed in and watched the ball drop. And it's like totally content. It's like, yeah, we might as well be 80. It's just us two at the sushi roll. But yeah, we still get out and, want to go to see some nightlife and see some bands. I mean, Southern Florida, it's all about nightlife, being outside,
Right.
The beach vibe, all that stuff. But yeah, we are together a lot. And so now it's just that balance of making feel like, is it okay if I leave now? Yeah, let's have some space. But then we always come back, and in a 24-foot van, I mean, I could turn into a reality show, but we don't fight as much as, I guess it'd be boring. We're just sitting there doing our thing. We're not yelling with windows breaking or anything.
That is hilarious.
Life too. So just out on the water, out exploring. I mean, the nature therapy, it's like people don't give it enough value nowadays. We're and after being cooped up, and people are still struggling to get out. Mm-hmm. So much beauty when you can just let go and just be. You don't have to do anything. It's the whole being thing. Like, when you're in nature, you're just being. You're the observer in the scenery around you, and things are moving. Could be squirrels, tree leaves are falling, like whatever the scene, and you're just kind of a part of that world. So yeah, very blessed and fortunate that it worked out. And it took a year to look for that van. Like I said, it's not like we just flip our fingers, snap. Like, there's a lot of planning that goes. It was a year of me researching the van. There's a lot of discussion about price point, budget, what we're not willing to, go over, what our, last final offer point is. And yeah, and it works out. And it's such a blessing. Every bend, it's like we live for the now. We live for the unknown. Like, that's part of the fun. We don't know what's around the bend. People, where are you going? Where are you staying? Like, literally, I'm on the road, like, figuring it out with a map. And do we want to go north, south? All I know is my requirement is around water. So whether it's a lake, a stream, the poor man has had to drive off cliffs. I'm like, it's showing on Google map. There should be a little stream at the end of this road. And the thing is like, it's like, I don't know, we're going to get stuck. And I'm like, I'd like to go to sleep with the river stream, by my bed, please. So yeah, as long as there's water.
It's all about compromise, folks. All about compromise. I get it. Thank you so much, Vanessa. I can't believe the half hour is up already. But yes, for all, any military spouse that's out there that needs help with that transition, or even, like you said, while they're still in service, definitely reach out to Vanessa. All of her all of her links and that are in the show notes. And so we thank you for showing up in the comments, and thank you so much, Vanessa, for joining us today. It's been a pleasure getting to know you. I know her and I are on the Angels 14 calls occasionally. I'm not there every Friday. I wish I could be, but so, and
really
Cheyenne, just so much passion, great conversation. Thanks for joining us, Cheyenne. And she agrees with the balance. You can't lose yourself or your purpose. Absolutely.
So thank you so much. And I'm kind of honored. I'm the first military spouse. Yeah, you've had a lot of, you've had women on under different subject matters, but I could have sworn there might have been a spouse before me. So we had a whole different story. We went into the feminine side. We went into lingerie. We circled back to the VA audits. There
we go. Well, okay. So Tammy Laird did come on, but she was more in the capacity of when she was sharing more about her military stint. So she talked a little bit about the spouse part, but you're the full Monte spouse. Let's put it that way.
Well, thank you so much for having me. I appreciate it to get that voice out. I want spouses to know they're heard, they're loved, they're seen, they're appreciated. And you had mentioned that, and I always put the plug in there too. People want to know how to help service members, how to help the military, and don't just say thank you for your service. Like the way you help service member and their family is for them help you business. That's how you give back. You be a part of that process, and that's a bigger thank you than just saying thank you to action. So com too, and all my links are on there. And thank you so much, Dorothy. We're phasing. I don't know if it's me or you with there was a freeze. It's usually me in the van, but I'm actually in a house right now.
I could barely it was it was in and out, but we got the gist of it. That's okay. Or maybe it was my end and I couldn't see it.
I don't know.
Anyways, thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Take care. Bye.
Your next trip is Alaska, so a safe trip out there.
Thank you. I'll be messaging you on LinkedIn if I'll look up your town. Who knows if I'm coming through? You never know where Vanessa's passing through with the van.
I am a border city. I am, but I'm in Ontario, so I don't know if you have to go through us to get to Alaska. But if you're going through Ontario and the Windsor-Detroit border, I'm 5 minutes from the Detroit border.
From the Detroit border. Okay. We've got the map book out and a highlighter. That's as far as we've gotten. I know people are like, shouldn't you plan a little more? But we're going to be trying to boondock a lot. But then hit some national parks. So thank you. And get those audits in before I'm going to be moving a little slower with the van life, but I'm there to help.
That's right. So if, like Vanessa said, you are a veteran and you are on, I guess it would be pension. It would be pension either way. Is that the proper terminology?
You're either you get your retirement check and then you get your VA disability compensation check. So retirement is a separate check. That's based on your rank and years of service and all that. And then the compensation check is for your service-connected disability. So it had to have happened while you were in the military, not prior. We can talk more about that.
And that, why wouldn't you? Because you said it was a free consultation. So why wouldn't you not take advantage of that? Why not? Why have the government have more money instead of you? That's how I look at it.
That's a great ending. Exactly.
Go and get your money from your government.
You deserved it. You earned it. Don't have that story like my husband did for 5 years. Like I was just doing my job. Because when you're 10 years older and your foot's hurting and your knees hurting and your ears don't work because you were a mortarman and now you can't get the hearing aids from the VA and you got to go pay $5,000 from a private place, like all that stuff's going to catch up when we get out. So document it now and use it to your advantage. I'm there to help push you through it. That's what we do. We muster up, we get it done.
That's right. So call Vanessa right now or text Vanessa right now and get that in. And again, her phone number, there you go. Text her right now and get that done. Get more money for you. and
for your family and for your lifestyle, for your travel, like how you want to create your retirement. You know, it ripples down to grandkids and beyond. So pay attention to that.
There you go. It's a win-win situation. Hey, Joseph Caps, Mr. Caps, if you are listening to this, then give Vanessa a call. He's military veteran, but I think he's still in the reserve, so I'm not sure if he's completely out. So
yeah, probably getting closer every day, every month. So
there we go.
Don't put it off the list.
Or Bicknell, Greg Bicknell, or Jeffrey Knight, if you're
listening.
She's
really putting some plugs out there.
Putting some plugs out there, guys. Talk to Vanessa. All right, Vanessa.
Let's go have our feminine side. My husband's been out taking care of all these van duties for our next trip. You know, he's like, why don't you take the van and get it, the new screen and all? I said, I'm meeting with Dorothy. I got work to do today, honey. So I'm going to go figure out maybe what we're eating. Yeah, and put on my domestic side. We wear different hats, but that's all part of the fun of the game. Just get into it and have fun with it.
That's right. That's right. Get in and have fun. All right. I just want to say one more time, thank you to our sponsor. Did you know that doTERRA Oil essential oils can help support the body physically and mentally and emotionally, and to help you achieve optimal health? Aromatherapy is a very powerful tool, and for more information, contact Be Oily with Bonnie today. Go to her website, or definitely give her a call or a text at 810-414-0929. And don't forget to be, she's got her oils. There you go.
I've got my diffuser going. Peppermint, be very careful. I got my cinnamon bark. I love having my oils near me, and it goes in with coaching. Like, you need calming, you need different energies. There's all kinds of stuff connected with oils, and the scent. The scent is like the quickest way to experience, like, creative visualization too. It's about the smell. So get your batch of oils.
Get your batch of oils. That's right. And don't forget, be unstoppable in all that you do. See you same time, same channel next week, guys. And bye for now.
Thank you for being unstoppable, Dorothy. Bye.
Absolutely.